Good evening. Welcome to the June 11th Commission on Disabilities meeting. If we could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If I could have, Michelle, could you do a roll call of the members for me?
I can. Ralph DeChico.
Present.
Rick Freni. Present. Michelle DeBellis, present. Enza Goodwin. Present. Robert Bent.
Present.
Paula. Palerno, sorry. Present. And Albert Sheridan.
Present.
So we have a full committee, so everyone's present. Before we go on to item one, I just wanted to take up this time. Last week, we unfortunately the city had lost a respected member who was on various boards. He was one of our former members, Paul Mazzoni. It was an unexpected death. So he will be deeply missed. So I would, at this time, I would like to offer a moment of silence. If we could please stand. Thank you. Item one is a motion to approve the meeting minutes from May 14th, 2019. I believe I emailed those notes out to everyone that I believe Michelle or Enza was so kind to get them right to me. And I want to thank Vice Chair Freni for officiating last month's meeting for me. So do I have a motion to accept?
I'll make the motion to accept.
And
Anyone second that? Second.
okay, so moved. Thank you. Item two was CODA, the Commission on Disabilities Alliance, the monthly conference call that I had on Wednesday, June 5th, 2019. Basically what they had this month again was continued discussions from last month regarding the state ratios for the apartments being built in new developments, and determine how the calculations are being made and distinguished to not only balance accessible apartments for the disabled and also affordable and disabled and non-disabled. Ideas again were talked about on how CODA can assist advocate and help changing the formulas that are presently being used. Members throughout various Commission on Disabilities that were on this call not only say that this is an important issue for us to get behind and help to find a better solution, it is also going to take a lot of time, effort, and resources. They will continue discussions on this next month. We're actually going to be going a week later because of the 4th of July holiday, so CODA will meet on the following Wednesday. The monthly calls are they're only scheduled for an hour. They don't go over an hour, so not a lot of information topics happen on the calls, so they try and send some background information via email, and sometimes it happens and sometimes it doesn't, because a lot of the commissions do have things that are doing and it's volunteer basis, and until we get on the call, sometimes a lot of the issues don't get brought back up. So they do the best that they can and discuss as much as possible. And what we try doing, or they try doing on that monthly call, is stay on one topic at a time, so that they don't go try and handle too many things at once. Lastly, there was a brief discussion regarding the vacant position at the AAB, which is the Architectural Access Board. It was mentioned that the hard work of all the members of CODA's work by sending letters and reaching out has helped. It's putting pressure on them and hopefully opened up some eyes. The position has not been filled, so what that means is they didn't just put someone into that position, which is a good thing. By people voicing their concerns, it did slow it down and make them realize that the points and issues Code Mendez have stated. I had written in here that there will be no call in July, but we received an email after that we're going to go a week later.
A week after,
Our normally
Scheduled?
scheduled monthly call, Coda. If anybody has any questions or comments. I know, Pauline, I'm not sure what meeting, you were at the last month's meeting, but I think the month before, there was some information that I handed out. I'll see if I have it, and I'll email it to you on some information. Were you here when somebody came? You were here when somebody from CODA came about the... Okay, about the bills. Okay, I'll email that because I had brought it to the school, but then you had some personal issues. So it's probably still at the school, but I'll email you that information. Anybody have any questions or comments on that? Okay. Now this is where I'm going to need my laptop. I want to give everybody an update on the state MOD ADA planning grant. Let's see. To update everyone that grant was, we did receive the grant. We did send out the RFP. It was awarded.
this is the 125.
This is the
correct, Mr.
125.
President?
Yes, this is the $125,000 to hire an engineering consulting firm to come in and go through the designated municipal buildings that I had given them to do site evaluations for Title I and Title II ADA compliance. They would do site evaluations on these, and then after they would also do a transition plan to let us know cost analysis and what needed to be done on those buildings. They had started doing the buildings on Monday, June. Let me open up my calendar. Monday, June 3rd, they had started. They did the buildings that they have completed already. Was City Hall, the Legion building upstairs and downstairs. They've also done the Rivera Society of Cultural and Historical building here, which was the old Immaculate Rectory. They also did the library on the 10th, and they may have still been at the library today. And the library was all today, and they have a few of the fire departments that they're going to be doing. Actually, the fire stations that are now in use, and also the old Point of Pines fire station, and also the old Winthrop Ave fire station, all the way up in Beachmont. And the reason, even though those buildings are not in use, they're still on the city roll. So what the engineering consulting firm stated is, even those are still on the city roll, so you still want to get those assessed so that you have something on file, that you are looking into them, so that you are meeting compliance, that you have done your self-evaluation in case of anyone comes into the city. You're covered for that, since I don't have any recollection of one being done, so we're being proactive in doing that. We also have both of the police stations that will be getting done this month, and the parking department will be getting done, along with we had allocated, there's enough money to do 2 of the schools. So I had added the 2 older schools, which was the Lincoln School and the Beachmont School. So what I had to do is I had to work with the engineering company on getting a schedule together with all these buildings, get them contact information for all these buildings and phone numbers, then reach out to all the contacts there to make sure that they knew of the dates. There was several scheduling changes in between, and Vice Chair Frenny, I had CC'd him on all the emails, and so he could see the work that was being done on it. It's probably, I'd say, took me close to about 50, 60 hours a week for the past few weeks, trying to get this this process done and off the ground so that it can be completed for the end of this month for the grant, because the grant is only allocated for this month, is the time frame that it has to be done in order for us to be able to use the funds from the state. So we're looking good on that. I did an update with the MG before the meeting today, and we're on schedule. The buildings that were supposed to be done by this date are done. So everything looks good. I don't know if anyone has any questions or concerns on that.
I have one question, I apologize. It was probably in the RFP. We have them hired for X amount of days, is that correct?
Well, it doesn't go by days, it goes by the project. It's
Okay.
not by the days.
But I can imagine it's a long-term deal.
No. It's the project to go through it. What we also have is they're going to go in depth in some of the programs. We have 80 hours that's allocated to check into certain departments, and I have that allocated that I want that to be at the recreation center to look at what we need for programs in there, because you can designate it where you want it to go to, and that's basically where I want, because there's enough money to do that, so I really want it to go into the Parks and Rec to see what they'll tell us what our needs are for there for EDA and whatnot for there.
We have them for 80 hours.
We have them for 80 hours to look in depth in the department.
Once they do their research.
Yeah,
Okay.
once they do all their research. That's what the money's allocated, that's what they came back
That's
for
what
when
I
they
recall
broke up,
seeing.
yeah, in the RFP.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Yeah. Also, one other thing that had to be done that I forgot to mention, not only when they do a self-evaluation of the municipal buildings, they also need to know if any of the buildings are on a historical registry. And because there's certain guidelines if a building is on a historical registry, because of the age to meet specific ADA guidelines, if it has to meet this type of a guideline or not. I did reach out to Elle Baker upstairs. She did know of a couple of the buildings, and I tried reaching out to different departments, but most of it I had to research on my own through the historical databases and find it. Believe it or not, most of our buildings are on the historical registry. If anyone wants to know, I can let them know because I have it broken down by that also. So I had to let them know that too before they could do their scheduling. So because they have to know what type of a resource by a person to go do that evaluation. They have to have the background if it's a historical building or not. So it was a little bit more in depth than just to go look at a building and take measurements and do that. I'm trying to think if there was anything else that I wanted to mention on it. I know Rick looked at the RFP with me. We went through everything. We had to, do some critiquing on it and rate different assessments. I don't know if you want to talk more on that.
Their performance over their last, the cities they've worked over the last few years has been remarkable. And their references were fantastic. I think we have a great company here that's overseeing all this, and I think that'll really help out the entire ADA community there, Mr. President. Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions about that or any concerns or?
Just one question. At any time, will the high school be looked at as well? Seeing as I know that it's up in the air as far as what's going on with that.
What will happen is, I would have loved to have been able to do all the buildings, but because of the financial resources that I was allocated, I could only do certain buildings. At this present time, I wanted to make sure that all of the municipal buildings were done because it was for all the residents, students and residents, whereas the schools are basically the school's children. So I allocated the money that I could to the two older schools. The newer schools should all be the ADA compliant because they were built within the last 30 years. The high school is hopefully going to be getting rebuilt and retrofitted. So hopefully before that's needed, that will be done, and I wouldn't have to do an assessment on it. But need be, there's always the possibility of going after another grant to get the remaining buildings done. So it took 3 years to finally win this grant. So we won this one, which was good, and it's a foot in the right step because now that we got that grant and we're getting the self-evaluation and transition plan, you'll see when the data comes back, they'll tell us, what needs to be done or suggestions to be done on these buildings. It opens up the avenue that we've done this, that we are now able to go after the grants to get the work done. Because without this, they're going to say, have you done a self-evaluation and transition plan? And our answer would have been in the past, no. So they said, well, that needed to be done first before you can go after a shovel in the ground, with presumably a shovel in the ground grant. So that was my main thing for the past 3 years, to establish one of these grants. So that's where we're at.
Where the high school's going, just,
No. They're working on that. So that's where that grant states. But if anybody wants to know any information on the buildings, the exact buildings that I've done, I have that email.
Yeah.
I didn't think I wanted to inundate you with all these emails that have been going back and forth, but I do have the
Yeah, we could
schedule.
see, yeah, I would like to
Yeah,
see
I could send you the schedule now that it's up. As of tomorrow, going forward, everything is set in stone to get the rest of the buildings, the police stations, the rest of the fire stations.
That's a good job there, Mr. President. Good work.
So that's where we are on that. So if anyone else has any questions or concerns on that I know of. Yeah, I don't know if we've gotten, there may have been, I don't know, years ago, if a
My
grant.
question was, is this the biggest grant the commission has received? And I believe it is, but.
There
Ralph,
could
what's
have
your
been one
system?
years ago. I don't know for the elevator that was put in when Steve Rich many years ago ran the Commission on Disabilities, because he had gone to put the elevator here in City Hall, but I don't know. That's something that the city would know. Nothing that I can find a record of, but I could imagine that had to be a pretty good sized grant to get an elevator put in, but of course, it's going back years too, so who knows what the cost was then. As for, that was, item 4 was the scheduled June events. I can give that to Enzo or Michelle, whoever wants to take that one.
So CPAC, in conjunction with Revere Fire and Police, presented to families about different safety options that are available for children with special needs. And that event took place just about a week or so ago at the Recreation Department. So we'd like to thank Revere Fire and Police for coming out and meeting with our families. And then last night, we hosted Ride and Glide at the Wayland School, and that was a great event for our children and families. They were able to safely ride a bicycle, a scooter in an enclosed space. And again, we have to thank the Recreation Department for coming out and setting up a bouncy house, as well as giving out treats to the kids. For the upcoming summer, our plans are to continue to offer playgroup once a month, and to also offer an ice cream social during the extended school year program. That will be provided by Revere CPAC.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions or comments?
Michelle would like to say something.
Sure.
I just want to mention that CPAC is putting together a survey that will be going out to the parents during the summer for all kids that have a current IEP or 504 plan. And I just ask that any parents listening, when they receive it, to please, if they could fill it out. What we're looking for in the upcoming year is more feedback, more parent involvement, more attendance at our events or our programs that we're running. So any insight from other parents would be helpful so that we get a better turnout. That's what we always strive for, so anyone, please fill them out. Thanks.
Anyone else have any questions on that or any other events that they know about coming up in June?
Well, 2 weeks ago, I was able, with the support of the neighbors and community, we had a fundraiser at my house for autism. And with the proceeds, we were able to take 30 children with autism, along with their teachers and aides, bowling and for lunch. And they had a great 4 hours at the Town Line Bowling Alley. I want to special thanks to the owner, the Anthony Dakotas, for assisting us again. But it was a wonderful, wonderful time. And while I have the mic, our 11th annual Little Ricky event for autism, where all the money stays right here in Revere, is Sunday, October 13th at 3 o'clock. That's Columbus Day weekend. Sunday, October 13th, 3 o'clock at Breakaway. This is a 21-plus event. More details will be on the website, and we'll announce it at the next meeting in August. But I just want to give you a heads up now for the listening and viewing public. That's Sunday, October 13th, 3 o'clock, Breakaway, Danvers. All the money stays right here in Revere. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, anyone else?
I just personally would like to thank CPAC and Rick for everything they do for the city. It's amazing what you guys do. I've been to the CPAC programs and I've watched what you guys do. It's unbelievable to watch. The parents are lucky to have you.
Thank you. Yeah, sure, Michelle.
If I can, and I forgot about it, I apologize. I just wanted to do a huge shout out to the 3rd grade in Lincoln School. They did a project and it was on autism. And it was amazing. These kids were wonderful. Jen and I, on behalf of CPAC, gave them a popsicle party, and we got to sit with 85 children that just blew me away. What school is this at? Lincoln. The teachers, the staff, everyone over there, I just want to thank everyone. It was incredible. These kids were amazing. They did a buddy program. It was incredible.
Did they do that for the night at the high school? Is that where they presented it? Yeah, okay. That's what I thought I heard about that. Yeah, and it was April? Yeah, it was when I was out that I couldn't. Yeah. That's what I heard about that one. Yeah.
Good, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Gotta start them young to learn about this stuff.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
Good job.
Next, I wanted to see item number 5 is old business. Does anybody have any old business that they wanted to bring up? Or I think we should be okay on that. Next, I have late items. I know Pauline also wanted to add something because I had sent that email out, and this is what she has is things that what I want brought to me monthly, because like I stated in the email, this is what I need from everyone.
Well, as most of you know, I do a lot of commuting every day, about 50 miles one way. And in my commute, I see a lot of traffic, I see a lot of pedestrians. But recently, on my way back from Natick to Revere, I stopped at probably 8 crosswalks with the lights flashing and the audible, and there were people in the crosswalks and people did stop. And it got me thinking. And it wasn't until I got back and had to reroute to get home that I saw not one but almost 2 fatalities on the beach. There was a camper parked in a parking space, legitimate parking space, the crosswalk, and the first one was a child, small child, maybe 3 or 4, that broke away from their parents who had darted out in front of the camper. And it was not me that had to slam on their brakes, but I did see it well in advance. And I thought to myself, okay, well, I know there's a crosswalk there, and many other people who visit Revere do also know that. But is it enough to know that there's a crosswalk there to be able to anticipate someone crossing? I didn't think too much of it until I got further up the beach, and then I saw someone in a wheelchair almost get hit. So that was 2 in less than 10 minutes. I said, something needs to be done. We really need to become a little bit more aware of. It's one thing as parents to teach your children, you cross on the crosswalk, and that's wonderful as you're teaching it, but if people are not going to stop and heed the visual, then maybe there needs to be more visual, more auditory there. So I did some investigation, and a lot of the communities are putting in what they call detectable warning panels. And these are the flashing yellow lights that when someone steps, not even stepping off the curb, and I'm not sure where they're placed. I have a call placed into one of the town engineers, and I'm waiting back to hear. But what it does is it is both an audio and a visual alert, and it does work. Is it going to stop cars from going through? Probably not, but at least it's another safeguard that would potentially help. Now we're looking at the beach, and this was even before, we haven't even hit July 4th, we're not even out of school yet, and already that was 2 in less than 10 minutes. I drive down Broadway every day, I see the same thing. I see, yes, we have crossing guards, that's wonderful, but I've also seen the crossing guards almost get hit for that same reason. So I think that there needs to be a lot more awareness, and I think that maybe the city needs to do a little bit of investigation and see what else can be done as a safeguard, or at least an additional, hey, wake up. You need to slow it down. You need to do what you're supposed to be doing here. There are people crossing. And it's not an unusual occurrence to see a young child break away from a parent. It's not unusual to see a teenager decide that they're going to have their earbuds on and cross. But if they're not looking and the person driving is distracted, we need to start really stepping this up, because I fear that we are going to see something happen before too long.
That's a great idea that you're bringing up. And I mentioned to you in the email that Julie DeMauro in the Healthy Community Initiative department, she's also the active transportation manager. She does deal with these types of issues, and I know she's been working on a lot of different issues that revolve around public safety, not only for regular residents and disabled residents. And I'm sure she's in communications with a lot of cities and towns and what they're doing. As a suggestion, we could send her an email if you want to draft up some of these and email it to me, and I could forward it to her.
Absolutely.
And we could see if she has time to either come to one of our future meetings, or either that or send us a communication on what the city, actually herself has been looking into for situations such as this. I know I've been working on her with a couple of students, from school-age students of different situations,
Right.
because a lot of the things too is that you have to look into. There's a lot of things that are being done in different communities that are false positives. So you want to make sure whatever you are going to do or have been doing is not going to create another false positive for them. But yeah, this is definitely something that needs to be looked into. And my thoughts is Julie is probably working on something like this, or has been asking questions on it. So I think she's the best person that can answer this for us, or take a look at it. So,
Excellent.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know if anybody else had any questions.
Yeah, I wanted to add something on that. I always, as my kids were small, I always think about that. And the one thing I always said, it's common sense and it doesn't cost money. It actually might be less money in the coffers if we do it, but with the crosswalks, it should not be a parking spot on either side of the crosswalk. If you're one of those crosswalks down the beach, it's not at every corner, it's in the middle.
That's
So
right.
they need to have a buffer, like a 4-car buffer, like one, a car here and a car here on the right side, and a car here and a car here on the left side. Keep those 12 feet open before you have better viewing, better vision angles when you're approaching this. This way, no kid's ducking behind a car that's legally parked and 2 feet away is the crosswalk. That should have been implemented a long, long time ago. I've always thought about that, but I never, said it out loud, but now I am because you got me going, so. And, by the time they put the lights in, get the money for the federal aid and state aid and bring MassDOT, everyone else into play where these crosswalks have to go. In the meantime, they should be able to remove a park, especially where there's high traffic, pedestrian traffic, move a spot here, move a spot there. I mean, you gotta sacrifice 4 spots for lives. It's an easy thing to do.
That's
But that's a
right.
great thing. You got me thinking, Pauline, and not too many people get me thinking. So, thank you.
I'm
Good
glad
job,
I could do
Pauline.
that. Thank you.
All right.
One
Go ahead.
one of the things I saw was the state was doing with people passing school buses, where they're actually automatic loss of license if you pass a school bus. If the city could come up with something on the same idea, but going to a crosswalk, that the ticket was so expensive, or if there was a loss of license, it would probably stop the people from doing it, or think twice before doing it, or pay more attention to what they're doing. Because I myself, living in the city, see a lot of it myself.
Exactly.
They just drive. They're just paying no attention. I gotta get to work. I gotta get to school. I have to get my bread. I gotta get my check.
That's
It's
some
amazing.
of it, but it's also, I'm seeing more and more of it now that the nice weather is here, is the campers, and they're big. And, you put that there, and nobody's gonna see anybody, regardless of wheelchair, pedestrian, that's ambulatory, nobody's going to see anybody.
Or even a large SUV. My truck, I have a big truck, just like, not as big as a camper, but, if I'm parked right
Might as
here,
well.
and then, you have the same vehicle I have.
I
and then
do.
There's a crosswalk right in front of me, and even my son, he's 24, but he's autistic, I always grab him by the arm and said, hold on, buddy, we gotta look, I'm in the crosswalk, Dad. Hold on, pal, we gotta peek around first,
That's right.
And that's my fault for parking there. I shouldn't have parked there, but someone else was gonna park there if I didn't have to get around someone else's vehicle anyways. But yeah, that's something that has to be taken under.
Yeah.
That's absolutely.
Good.
Thank you, Pauline.
Welcome.
Very passionate issue there, Mr. Chairperson, President.
Another thing that I wanted to mention too is I know that they are going to be doing the crosswalks over because the bid did go out, and I'm pretty sure that it has been awarded. So they are going to be doing the crosswalks over here in Revere. So I don't know specifically where, but I know the money came in to do crosswalks over. Anyone else have anything that they'd like to add?
Yeah, I definitely think it's a great idea. Being in a wheelchair and walking home from my job at Target all the time, Revere Beach Parkway, they don't even stop sometimes. They go right through the red light. It's definitely something the city needs to look into, and it's definitely a great idea.
Yeah, this is the starting point. I don't want to say a problem, but one issue that we have in Revere is we're surrounded by state roads. And also, we have the state highways, and then we have DCR roads. So there's a lot of entities that are involved, but that's why we have a starting point is getting the ball rolling here. And we speak to Julie because I know everybody has to come to the table. So there are a lot of issues, on the beach, but that's controlled by DCR. Broadway is a state highway. The Revere Beach Parkway is also a state highway because I have a lot of, not to change the subject, but I have a lot of issues with residents calling me with people parking on the sidewalks there, and the Revere Police don't have jurisdiction there, so I had to get Senator DeLeo's office in it because you would call the state police and they don't want to respond to it. Or they say yes, but they don't come because, Revere doesn't have any jurisdiction of it. So something has to be done. So that's one of the issues that Revere has, because it's not a lot of the roads, and you get a lot of issues too with there's sidewalks that are broken on these same streets. Those sidewalks there are state roads also, are DCR roads. Everybody says, well, look at the sidewalks down here by, just to say, Ocean Ave or whatever. It's DCR. It's not Revere. Well, why is Revere not fixing the sidewalks? That's not Revere. As you can see, if you go Sargent Street, if you go Broadway, just to name a few of the streets off of Broadway, you'll see that the administration has been repairing all those streets. The streets and the sidewalks that Revere has jurisdiction of, there was a tremendous backlog. They are getting repaired. And not only are they getting repaired, they're getting repaired to meet ADA guidelines. So Revere has a unique situation, so.
Yeah, I think the mayor and the staff here, the last few years especially, really picked it up with and I know people just never notice this stuff, and they notice it like crazy the last couple of years. I mean, the roads, the DCR with the tree planting on this side, it's just incredible. But the roads are getting done, the sidewalks are getting done, and floodings are getting taken care of, trees are getting planted. We're really, it's nice to call it home again, you know. It's really, the city's looking sharp. It's looking better and better, and that's a kudos to the mayor and his awesome staff.
Anyone else have anything that they'd like to add on as a late item? And I really hope that my commission will start giving me items to add to the agenda like Pauline did. This is what, you know, we need things.
I have a late item, but I'm gonna let Michelle go first.
Yeah, this is what I need from the members to do, because this is how we can take things. Now, what will happen is, once we get Julie and find out some information and things have to be done, that's gonna go to Pauline to follow up on and take care of, and this is what we're gonna do. This is how we're gonna be able to do things. So, yeah, so.
And it's not just about disability, this is about everyone, the issue you're talking about. This isn't about just people in wheelchairs and, you know, whether they're physically or mentally handicapped. This is just, you know, the average Joe trying to cross over there and getting whacked by a car. So I think it's a great point. We're really helping everyone out on this issue, and, you know, thanks to Pauline for bringing us to the forefront, really, you know, get the pot stirring and make things happening.
Okay, Michelle, you have something you want to talk about?
She had to look.
Oh, she had to look. All right, Rick?
Well, it's not a late item, but I'd just like to wish my wife a happy 25th wedding anniversary today, June 11th. It was 25 years ago, Mr. Chairperson, at the Peabody Marriott. We had our wedding reception. Married at St. Mary's, actually, in Revere. So I just want to give her a shout out. I had to leave her for a little while to come here for the meeting, which is very important. So happy 25th to my bride.
I'm sorry, Jody, but congratulations. I do have one late item, and I did receive a call from Vice Chair Rick about this, that he was actually watching the meeting. So I just basically wanted to, if it's okay with the commission here, I just wanted to go over some information that I was going to talk about for the budget last night at the Ways and Means. But unfortunately, I was a little bit late. But what has happened in the past, usually, when a department is called, if they're usually not there, they'll usually try and pass it for a little bit and wait till the end to see if they're coming, if they show up or not. They've, you know, so, and obviously, I guess that didn't happen last night. The meeting was from 4 to 6, but I showed up at 5:03. I had sent an email to the department to see if there was any paperwork that was going to be there, hard copy paperwork that's been there in the past years, because I didn't have any, because I haven't been going to the office. I only had the electronic, but they had sent me the electronic just to make sure. So I just basically just wanted to go out there for the edification of people so that they know what the Commission on Disabilities has worked on. I also wanted to give kudos to Rich Viscay, who gave a shout out that we did receive the $125,000 grant, and also to the director of Veteran Services, who said that, you know, due to me having surgery, that's probably why I wasn't there at that time last night. So I appreciate that. So I guess there just wasn't enough time when the meeting ended for me to say this. So I just basically wanted to let people know what, you know, what a few things that were in the Commission on Disabilities of what we've done and whatnot. The mission statement has always been to increase the opportunities and remove barriers of people with disabilities by facilitating full and equal participation in all aspects within the city of life within the city of Revere. Also, our 2019 accomplishments for the Commission on Disabilities. And I want to make sure that the community knows what we've done. We were awarded the MGH mini grant to establish a successful pilot for full inclusion art program for the disabled children and young adults from 4 to 22 years of age. Thank you to the MGH for allowing us to get that mini grant. We also, this year, we implemented a full turnkey point of sales cupcake program for the Revere High School life skills students during the winter with the generosity and donation of Danny Liberto from Liberto's Bakery, who supplied us with the supplies to do this, and the life skills students would come down to the rec center with the generosity and donation of Michael Hanojosa for letting us use the rec center's kitchen to decorate the cupcakes that the students also not only decorated, and they went to the point of sales of selling them at the high school basketball games on the Friday nights. So there was a pilot of us trying to do that and to establish some point of sale cupcakes and just business aspects for these students, to give them some life skills. Also, I know Rich Viscay announced this, that the Commission on Disabilities, we applied for and we were awarded the state MOD planning grant for $125,000, which enabled us to hire a consultant and to establish a self-evaluation and transition plan in the city of Revere. That fell under Title I and Title II for the municipal properties and development and departments. Also, we updated the city disability webpage with important information for the disabled residents, and we also created the Disabilities Facebook page that has information on there. Also, we also put out the meeting notes on there and the agenda, and also we put a link in there of our monthly meetings that Revere TV puts streams out there, so anyone can go on there and see the meeting also. Our fiscal year 2020 goals and objectives. Our first goal is to become, as it was last year, and it's going to continue to be my goal, and I'm sure the sentiments of the rest of the members of this commission is we would love to be a full-time regularly staffed department within the city of Revere. I really feel that this is a department that's needed. Not to be just an informational, but it should be a department like all other departments within the city. It should be a full-time department to be able to fulfill the needs of the disabled residents within this community, whether young or old. Also, an objective is to provide the necessary time and resources to be able to service all these residents. And one of the mayor's focus areas is to professionalize city services and uphold professional and ethical standards. Excuse me. The second goal is a goal, and I'll explain a little bit more into it, is to obtain an accessible location for the Commission on Disabilities office to be a full-time office, and to try and reinstitute a better way of communication of a medical equipment loan program. If they take a look at goal number 2, people may think of having the equipment in-house, but when you do this in-house, it can create more problems than helping out people. So trying to establish a third party for the donation of the equipment. I feel personally, and I'm not sure if the members on this committee feel the same way, it makes life a lot easier for the residents to be able to go get equipment, because they are able to have multiple types of equipment that can be picked up for a resident instead of just having walkers or wheelchairs or crutches. I myself took a ride up to the Masons in Woburn. They are open only on Saturdays from 9:30 to 12. But they do have a live operator that answers the phones. In certain circumstances, they will accommodate you to pick it up. But when I say the equipment that they have there was beyond what I thought, They have the electronic, power reclining chairs that raise up. You never thought they'd have that there. That's something that the city would not be able to have. They have that. They have hospital beds. Everything you could imagine they have, and it's all free of charge. They maintain the equipment. They make sure the equipment is clean. The only thing that they don't do is they can't pick up and deliver it, and they don't assemble it for you. And all they ask for is when you do pick it up, you just sign out for it, and you just return it when you no longer need it so that it can be recycled and used for another person. So that's one of my one of the goals for the Commission on Disabilities and the objective. This would better serve, I feel, the disabled residents in Revere. And then after, if anybody has any comments, when I'll go over the third goal, which was a same goal as last year, but it came a little bit on the back burner because I really wanted to get that $125,000 municipal grant. So it really put my other goal from last year on the back burner, was to adopt MGL Chapter 40, Section 22G, which states any city or town which accepted provisions of Section 8J is hereby authorized to allocate all funds received from fines assessed for violations of handicap parking in said city or town be allocated to the Commission on Disabilities. So what would happen, the objective of receiving the fines involving violations for handicap parking and placard abuse would go into a separate account, and this money would be used to serve the disabled population for being able to let's say, build handicap accessible. The town of Burlington did a handicap accessible gazebo in the middle of their town square to be able to make sure there's ramps that can be built, or certain equipment needed at certain locations, or programs for the disabled, or adaptive equipment for certain, meetings or certain areas. That's what this money would be allocated for. It's wouldn't be money to pay salaries. It wouldn't be money to pay for functions. That's not what it would be for. It would be money that would be used in the community for use by disabled residents. So I think I really want to try and focus on getting that done. That has to be with the help of the counselors in the mayor's office, so that I can get that in front of the council to get that done. When I originally had created this goal, at that time, I had gotten what the statistical numbers were for handicap violations from the January of that year to the April of that year, and I believe for handicap parking violations, it was up at around $60,000.
Really?
Yeah, from the year present to that for over like a year or two. I have that all. I have to look back off the top of my head. So
Let us know what we can do.
yeah.
Mr.
So,
Chairperson. I
but
get the
don't
phone.
quote me on that number. I'm thinking that's what it was, but I have all that
If it was
data.
$6,000,
Yeah.
let us know what we can do to get this going.
So I have all that. Another thing that I had put into information that I was going to tell is the performance measures for fiscal year 2017, 2018, 2019, and projections for 2020. Residents served by phone are in person. For 2017, there was no data because there was nothing set up yet. Also, for registered on the city database surveys, there wasn't. 2000 and commission meetings was 10. That's when we started. Fiscal year 2018, commission meetings was 11. Residents served by phone, there really wasn't any yet because we didn't have the office or the phone. It was just email. And that was the first time we did the survey. We had 25 people into the database. For our fiscal year 2019, we had 10 commission meetings. Residents served by phone that had called me, and I have all this data, was 350 people. In the database is approximately 60 people as of the end of this year for the surveys for the disabled people. Projections for 2020, I've projected that we will have 10 commission meetings. The reason why it's at 10, at least 10, we're mandated to have at least 10 in order to be a commission on disabilities. We have to have 10 meetings a year. And also, my projections for residents served by telephone for fiscal year 2020 is I'm hoping to get that up to 500. And residents registered the database by the Disability Accessible Surveys. I want to have 100 of those there. Now, the other thing that we'll have an increase on the phones, and we can get that data too, is what I've done, and I'm sure you all know, is because the office is open on Fridays, what I had done in 2018, at the end of 2018, is the Revere Commission on Disability number, when it's dialed, it goes directly to 311 operator so that they get a live operator, and they have all the information that's on our website, that I have it on there, that they can answer a lot of those calls. And if they can't answer those calls, or if they want, they direct them right, it links them to the voicemail, and the voicemail will come directly to my email so that I get it, and then I can call them back. So the numbers could be a little bit more, and that data is all collected with 311, how many calls come in for a disability question or whatnot. So if anybody has, if anybody questions the amount of calls that are coming in, that's all tabulated in there. And I do, anybody wants to see every voicemail that comes that I download, I have them saved in a file of the voicemails that do come in. And I also write it in a book, and I also put a date when I call them back and what the issue is. So that's what I try to do on that. One other thing that was that I could say about the budget itself is mostly everything is going to be staying the same. I'll open that up. I had asked for a little bit more office funding. Try and turn this around.
There you go.
Counterclockwise. We usually have charges. We usually have, like, for expenses. We used to have $1,000 budget. And that's what I use for toner and paper. I have a shared office with the Veterans Affairs, and I used it for that. But I had allocated, I requested $3,000 this year, and reason being is I had asked the mayor to be able to purchase a departmental laptop, because right now the laptop that I am using is borrowed from 311. And periodically, they need to take it back because they do training on it. Because this is since I only have office hours once a week, I need to have access into the city server and have everything in one place for all the files and everything that I do. And also, from what I get from IT, this is a slower laptop, and it's an older laptop. So I asked last year, but it wouldn't go through. So this year, hopefully it's been allocated and approved, as long as it gets through the Ways and Means in order to get a Commission on Disabilities laptop. So I wanted to let you be aware of that, and that's where we're on that. So I don't know if anybody has any questions on any of that, but this is just information that I wanted to put out last night. But it was also, I don't know how much, I can't remember what I said earlier, but it was, when I watched the meeting back, and as I said, I guess you were watching the meeting live last night, and when they had, before me on the schedule was supposed to be, the schedule that I had was supposed to be the Conservation Commission, but I didn't hear any mention of them. And then it came to the Commission on Disabilities and the page number that they were supposed to go to. And then it was stated that their no one was there from the Commission on Disabilities, and it was mentioned that, they found it very disheartening that the department head wasn't there, and they were notified that they were scheduled to be there.
Yeah, that was.
So
There was no reason to say that at all at that meeting last night, There was no reason to say that.
The timing was, yes, I wasn't there at 4 o'clock, but, in years past, I assumed that it's always been rolled over. To me, it's not a big budget department, but it's a very important department, and I just want people to know that what we've done, it's dear and it's true and dear to my heart, what we do. I don't do this. I don't do this for my money. I don't do it
we don't do it for money. What money?
We don't. What money? We don't get what I do.
Everyone knows how you work your butt off, and you put this commission on the map, and we all thank you for doing this. Even when you were out getting your hip replaced, you were still in contact with everyone, taking care of stuff. So whether that was uncalled for, personal attack, whatever, that should not have been, and we just move on.
Right.
We're better than that, and we're going to keep doing what we can for the disabled community here in the city, regardless of what other people want to say or think of us. We just move on. But it is a shame that was said, because no one knows. You work harder on this commission than any other commission in the city, and I can vouch for that.
I appreciate
And I
it.
got your back, Mr. Chairperson.
I appreciate it.
All right.
So like I said, I just wanted to make sure that the people know what we do. So that's just my point of putting this out there. That's why I go to the budget meetings. It's not a lot of money, and it's, that's not the point of it. It's just to let people know what we did the past year and what our goals are, and as respect to all the work that we all do. And I greatly appreciate you, all the members here on the Commission on Disabilities.
And we appreciate you, Mr. Chairperson, and welcome back from your injury. You look like you're doing great.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions or concerns on the budget, or anything I can answer?
No, actually, I just got one comment, Ralph. I mean, I've been on this commission for a little over a year now, and I've worked in the office with you. I know what you do all the time. So for somebody to sit there and say,
No, it's all right. I don't want to get it. That's all right. Don't worry about it. That's my main point was just to make sure everybody knows what we do.
No, I
anyway.
understand that. I'm just saying, for somebody to make a statement like that, when I know firsthand from working in the office with you and seeing what you do on an everyday basis for this commission, for somebody to say that was wrong.
Right, we can all vote. We can all vouch for Ralph, and the mayor and other people can vouch for Ralph. So I don't think Ralph needs us speaking up for himself. We just all know that we have his back, and without him, I can't imagine what the commission would be right now. So keep up the good work, and welcome back.
You're running it.
And we miss you.
Next, we'll go on to open forum. So don't all come to the podium at once. Rick, you can Rick in the back. Can you pan the audience? There's a lot of people here.
They're ducking behind. They're ducking behind the chairs.
We have Mr. Brown chair over there, Mr. Blue chair, Mrs. Blue chair. Thank you.
Fortunately, with Revere TV, they're all at home watching us
They're
on
all
Channel
home
9.
and staying in a nice,
the comfort
cool
of their
TV.
own home, right? Eating their pasta fagioli and enjoying themselves.
I know.
Okay.
Any next items? I put my agenda away. I'm going to have to borrow yours. So we don't have any next steps. So Pauline just knows, so she's going to get an email together, forward it to me, and then I'll forward it to Julie.
Absolutely, I'm on it.
To send that. The last item that we have on the agenda, and I'll have Michelle read that one,
She wants to read it.
because I know she's been itching to read item number 9.
The Commission on Disabilities has office hours on Fridays from 8:15 to 12:15 in the Veteran Service Office in the rear of the Legion Building at 249 R Broadway, which is located next door to City Hall. You can call for an appointment if you would like, but you do not need one. You will be able to talk to someone from our 311 service center on other days when you call our office at 781-286-8267. They will be able to answer most questions, but if they are unable to do so, or if you would like a call back from our office, they can transfer you to the Disabilities Office voicemail, and someone will get back to you as soon as they can. Also, please let us know if you would like anything discussed or brought up and added to our monthly meeting agenda. You can let us know if you would like to come and speak on any issue or concern. The commission is here to help and assist all the disabled residents and families of Revere.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion.
And do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Our next meeting will be Tuesday, August 13th, 2019 at 6 p.m. We will not have a July meeting due to the 4th of July holiday. So I wanted to wish everyone a happy 4th of July. Let it be a safe one. And enjoy yourself. All right. And also, happy Father's Day to everyone. And again, Jody, I'm sorry. Happy anniversary, Mr. Vice Chair.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Happy anniversary, Rick.
That concludes our meeting. Thank you.